break it all down. The Vault Studio, the best show in town. Let's show in town. Lights on, mic check. Game time, let's go. Jay George, Scotty running the show. Rock on the mix, keeping it tight. NFL talk every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Vault Studio. Yeah, that's right. It's me. It's Georgie Boy. The intros have been had less life than a fucking eulogy.
I hate this already.
Had less life than a eulogy the last couple of weeks. So I'm here to liven it up a little bit. So if you're hearing my voice, you know what that means. It's time for another edition of the most unhinged, uninformed, and downright unholy episode of the NFL podcast. We're deep in the off-season mire here, but never fear. Your favourite foursome of knuckleheads are back to deliver a giant load of NFL talk.
You just spit that into AI, didn't you?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I'm your host, Georgie Boy, and to my right is a man who swears he can outlift his wife, despite not having trained since before COVID, James Arthur. Welcome.
Factual, all facts. Still
to,
can.
To my left is everyone's favourite barrel-chested T-Rex-armed NFL pundit, whose neck
That's very true.
Whose neck hasn't been sighted in the best part of a decade. Give it up for Scott Tuhi. Seated stoutly at the desk is the clear brains of the operation and resident lady killer. In fact, I heard he had a date on the weekend just gone. So is there anything you'd like to speak on that?
Fuck, someone would have told me. I would have showed up for it then.
Welcome, Brock Jones.
I would have showed up if I knew
Is
I
that
had
why
that.
you're wearing my jacket for real?
No, that's all I had in the car.
So who was the lovely lady this weekend?
No, we're going on with the show, George. Just going on with the show.
You embarrassed him now.
Yeah, but that was the whole point.
Oh, it's very good.
Anyway,
That's a very good intro.
I'm your host, George K, and let's get this fucking show on the road.
Very good. Hey,
Well done.
little claps for the boy. He went a bit red there. He was a bit nervous, I think.
He didn't.
It's 1,000 degrees in here, man. Put the aircon on.
He didn't shout
Everyone's
out.
come with an error. We're going to go back to the
I'd like
installer.
also a quick shout out to my man Dave, little Dave down at Churnside Park there, Sporting Globe. We love that.
I'm sure
we
we
love that
appreciate
job.
little Dave.
Well, everyone's little when you're as big as me, bro. So it's all good. Don't worry about
True.
it.
It's factual.
Yeah, it's just biology. Yeah, get down to Churnside Park and spend money down there so that Dave can afford to sponsor us again next season.
100%. Well done, Georgie boy. Very
That was
good.
good.
Brought
Good.
a bit of energy.
Yeah.
It's now up. I'm going to have to up the game for next week now.
Now it's on you two to one up me.
You feel like you've maybe created...
Yeah.
Now you've opened me up to a bit of monologue at the start of a podcast. I think
Perfect.
that could be dangerous.
I
Not,
love it.
not for us, but for the world. 'Cause
Yeah.
this brain is not meant to be unlocked for monologues.
Bring it on. I give as good as I get. You know that.
I reckon, Scotty, next week you can come up with something for next week.
Yeah, right.
Done.
Bit
Deal.
of fun.
Just for a bit of fun.
All right, let's get straight into the show. We've got our What's the Plan coming up later, but we're going to start with a couple of topics, some loose ones this week. I think we should start with down at New Orleans. There's
Yes.
some big issues now. Derek Carr, apparently his shoulder's no good, and there's speculation he might have to get surgery again. The surgery that he had
Wow.
last season hasn't worked, and it could mean he misses the entire season.
Yeah, he'll miss this season too. Is that right?
They
Wow.
reckon, the majority of the season. Yeah.
Which I know Derek Carr's not the best quarterback in the world, but it's pretty diabolical for the Saints and for Kellen Moore to lose a starting
I
quarterback.
think that's unfair. I think a fit, healthy Derek Carr is a more than serviceable quarterback. Like he's a top 15 quarterback when he's fit.
I think he's like he's the medium of the league.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
If you
Like
have
he's
him full and healthy, you're okay with it. You're
15,
comfortable with
16,
it.
that's about right.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's probably where he sits.
Yeah.
And it also has a big implication on the draft coming up. Is that now are they going to be open to drafting a quarterback because they know they're not going to have him
Well,
for the
do
year?
we just, with that, surely if you're the Saints, that doesn't change your draft?
I think if I was the Saints and if we knew this last week, we did their What's the Plan for them completely changes. If Derek Carr's not around, Chris Olave obviously has
Are you
issues
saying
with
it does
concussion.
change? Or
I'm
doesn't?
saying no. I'm saying it doesn't. They're picking nine.
I want to say
I
nine,
think.
yeah.
At that point, you're reaching. You're not going to get Cam Ward. We've gone to length about the other quarterbacks. It's Cam Ward, and then there's a split on Shador being, he's graded as a second round talent, but you have to reach to get him. Is it worth wasting this 9th pick to get him, or you just go, hey, fans, we're not going to be good this year. Bring your brown paper bags.
Sure.
Say who day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We're going to suck.
And
We're
just
going
tank.
for the number 1 pick
Yeah,
next
yeah,
year.
That's what I'm going to say. I think that should be their plan now.
Yep.
If Derek Carr's not good to go, there's no point reaching for Shador because with the talent you have, you're probably not going to be that successful with him anyway.
Yep.
So just
Roll out the rat dog and off you go.
roll out Spencer, whatever breed he is of human. Roll him out.
Is it-
No
he's-
one's worked it out
He's a
yet.
healthy mix of about 3 or 4 different.
Must be
things,
set,
isn't
must
he?
be 17. He's
Yeah.
got he's a bitzer.
Can we
Yeah.
get
Got a
a
bit of everything.
ancestry?
We get answers.com
We-
on as a rattler.
A 23 and me on.
Use your card saved. I'll just pay for it on that.
Is that racist? Can we say that? I don't know. Anyway,
I
let's
don't think
keep
that's
going.
racist. No. But yeah, I think it's maybe a good
Blessing
bad
in
thing.
dis-
Yeah, a silver lining could be that they could suck this year. They get all their cap back next year, and they
Yes.
can actually reload. I don't think Callum Moore's going to get fired in his first year. The Saints don't operate
No,
like
no way.
that.
No way.
There's many teams that will. I think if the expectations are pretty low for them with Derek Carr, I think without Derek Carr, they could really set themselves up for a number 1 pick next year
I think
in
the
a better
mood-
QB draft and go there.
Derek Carr doesn't play. I think the mood in New Orleans is going to be a bit of short-term pain for a bit of long-term gain.
It could mean an Arch Manning.
Yeah,
That's what it could.
Yeah,
Could be rolling
absolutely.
in Arch Manning next year.
like his grandpappy.
Or
Yeah.
the Georgia.
100%.
Yeah, Archie was there.
There's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
connection there with the Mannings. I don't think that no one has any issue living in Louisiana, in New Orleans. It's a great city.
I heard
awesome
a-
city.
I heard a rumor on this that they knew his shoulder was cooked last year, but they still offered him the contract knowing that it was lingering into the off season. So
Right.
I don't know. It's weird.
It could just be
Why would they do that though?
it could just be a risk because he's not on a lot of money, and you need a veteran quarterback.
I think it was a 1-year deal to get rid of the future.
Yeah. It was like a fake, they
Guarantees.
call it the fake extension,
Yeah.
where you
Okay.
extend a guy for a year that he's already on, but it then clears all the money that you
Right.
that you're doing.
Yeah.
Just rip the
I'm not.
band-aid.
If you want to read about it, I've got a book down there called Caponomic. If you want to read about Cap, I got through about 3 pages, and there's just.
Well, you know,
I don't think I'm a stupid person. That stupid. There was a lot of words in there that I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
we call cap on the cap here anyway. Like, let's be fair.
Yeah, true. The cap's not real,
Yeah.
but I think this could be a silver lining for them. Bottom out, get a top pick, get the quarterback you want. You got Cap under your
Get
belt,
the aging
rebuild,
players out
Yep.
as well,
Yep.
and then
and
just
then rebuild.
do one of those. We see this pretty frequently now that it's like a 1 to 2 year reboot or reload.
Yep.
And then they just go bang and they're right back. It's a weak division. Let's be honest.
I think the term's a soft rebuild.
Yeah.
where they're not fully bottoming out. They're
Yeah.
just gonna hurt for a year. Eagles did it a few years ago.
Yep.
I think it was after they won the Super Bowl with Peterson.
Yep.
They bottomed out for a year, got rid of the old Cap.
Yep.
Bought some new guy and then started young again. And then if you're a good GM, you're a good coach, you can rebuild fairly quickly.
You
with the
also
right
need
guys.
to hit with the draft picks. You need to hit on probably 2 of the first 3 round draft picks.
Yes, and
They
I
need
think-
to be Super Bowl caliber players.
I think all GMs at that level and scouting departments, whether they're right or wrong, are very confident in that because that's their job. Like it's their job is to
Yeah.
scout and draft guys. Doesn't always work out.
Well,
but I
why
think
is
all
there
of them-
teams that are always bad then?
Well, Cleveland have their own issues.
I think a lot of it.
A lot of
it's just
teams draft poorly though.
In fairness, though, like there's a lot of teams that draft well, but then can't keep players. Like the Jets are one of them. The Jets actually draft quite well. They get
Yeah.
good players, but then players don't want to be there.
Defensively.
Defensively, they do. But like Garrett Wilson's not a bad player. He's a fine. If you go back and
Yeah.
take him in the first round, there'd be 32 teams that will take him in the first round
Yeah.
as well. Like he's a good player. He's a bit of a knucklehead, but he hasn't had the greatest quarterbacks in the world and has still been fairly productive.
find me a one receiver that isn't a bit of a knucklehead anyway.
They're all
Yeah.
knuckleheads. Tyreek Hill, for an example, but we're not going to talk
I
about
don't
him.
want to talk about him because
Absolute. I'm just going to say one thing. He is still the piece of shit we all know he is.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Amen.
So I don't
We're-
want to
we're
drag
too good
this
for
show
that.
down. Let's get to what we're not too good for. That's picking on a couple of college kids that didn't get their numbers retired.
Absolutely.
Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter are both getting their numbers retired by Colorado State, is it?
Colorado Buffaloes.
Colorado Buffaloes.
This is a weird thing for me.
It's
Like,
just-
why?
It's bizarre.
This
It
is
is.
nepotism at its finest.
But
This is
why
what it is.
Travis Hunter then?
Well,
Because
they're
he won the
boys.
Heisman?
They're the boys.
No, it's Dion's fifth son.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
He lived with him for like a year and a bit. As well
he
before
was
he
at
Colorado.
Jackson State with him as well.
That's true. He was like the number one overall high school player and picked to go to Jackson State.
I don't
with
think he was
Dion.
number 1 overall. I think he developed quite well.
I thought-
He definitely was like a top 5 sort of
Yeah.
prospect
It
of
was
that
a
league.
shock back then. They were like, why is he
So
going to Jackson
normally,
State?
normally, right? Numbers are jerseys. Numbers are retired when that specific players had like a huge amount of accolades at the school or at the.
Put
the
it this
club.
way.
What accolades do they have that
Peyton
requires
Manning's
them-
number isn't retired by Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tom
yeah.
Brady's
I think
number
I
not
don't.
retired.
Travis Hunter, I don't have an issue with.
Yeah,
Because he had a pretty historic season.
You got to understand
But
that it's a crappy. Historically, it's a crappy college too. They haven't had a ton
Oh,
of success. Recently, anyway,
recently,
the last
yeah,
20
yeah,
years. Like
yeah.
the last great quarterback that was drafted was I saw his name today. It's Kadarrell. I've forgotten his name, but he won 2 bowl games in 2 seasons there.
There was a running back.
No, it was a quarterback.
Cadell Stewart won 2
Kadarrell
bowl
Stewart.
games, finished top 10
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
And then played for Pittsburgh, I believe, and a few other teams. Bit of a
Yep.
journeyman in the NFL, but was a solid NFL guy.
Sure.
Not great.
Still not retired.
And his number's not retired. So
Yeah.
he's not even the best, because everyone's like, well, Shador's the best quarterback ever. Well, he's actually not the best quarterback
Yeah.
in Colorado ever. He's maybe his second best. And maybe his talent's better than what Kadarrell Stewart was. I don't know. I didn't watch Kadarrell Stewart. I don't remember him.
Shador's numbers aren't fantastic though.
No, and his win record's not fantastic.
That's what I mean. What have they done
Well,
to
Travis
warrant it?
for Travis Hunter, he was the Heisman. He had the offensive. He had the wide receiver. The wide receiver of the year. He won the trophy for that.
Well, he's the only
defensive
player to
back.
ever win the wide receiver of the year and the DB of the year.
That I
award.
get,
I'm
but
pretty sure.
I feel like
Sure.
it's too soon. I feel like you need to give it 3 or 4 years,
What
and
if
then
he
you
ends
come
up
back.
sucking in the NFL? Then it just looks stupid. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me.
Mm.
To play a JA's advocate here, maybe it's a they're trying to rebuild the culture of Colorado and selling to players that are going to come play for them that we actually honor and respect our great players, and we're doing that by we've been terrible for a long time. These 2 guys are realistically they're both going to go in the first round. Travis Hunter 100% will, and I'd be shocked if Shador Sanders doesn't
Shador
go
will
in
be
the
going in
first
the
round.
first round.
They could potentially be the 3rd players to go in the top 3 in the past 5 years. Like there was the Bryce Young and Will Anderson
Mhm.
both went top 3, and then before that it was a quarterback and a DB. I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was Jeff Okudah and Chase Young
Right.
both
Yeah.
went in the top 3. We saw how that worked out, but yeah, I just think maybe they're just trying to set that culture at the college that we reward our stars, we honor our stars.
Mm.
These guys are our most recent stars, and this is how we want to honor them. So then, when you come and you become a star, but if you're doing this every year, if you're going to be a good college team,
There's no numbers left.
you'll have to be doing this every year.
Yeah,
You're
no,
going to
sure.
run out of numbers.
Yeah.
You turn into
for
Yankees.
mediocre for
Yeah.
Shador Sanders, like mediocre stats, really.
Yeah, 100%. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, but
I
maybe
don't
it's a
like it
culture thing.
personally.
No, I don't like it.
I don't even like. It's just unnecessary. I just don't
Like if
see the
Shador
point.
Sanders goes onto the NFL and ends up being a star quarterback and wins a Super Bowl or something like that, then I can see it being like, well, he was one of our best college quarterbacks ever. He's gone to the NFL and he's dominated at the NFL level. Let's retire his number now once he's
In
retired.
10 years' time.
Yeah, I think like how do
Yeah.
you retire a number from a player who's not retired from playing professional
Mm.
sport yet?
I just find the whole thing bizarre and
Yeah.
pointless too. Like,
Yeah.
it's just unnecessary.
Like if you had have had like a Vince Young year,
Yeah.
I could see it. But it was I
Shador
don't
was
know.
he was 8th in the Heisman. That's where he finished in
Yeah.
voting.
Shador's stats for the past 2 years at Colorado combined 24 games he played in, 651 from 907 completion rate, so 71%,
Okay, that's pretty good.
7,364 yards, 64 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. But like Scotty's saying, they didn't play anyone good.
Yeah, I said that in the
For
group
those
chat.
2
They
years.
played one ranked team. They played Texas A&M and beat them. That was their one good win.
I'm pretty sure they got blown out by like Boise and a bunch of other teams
I
as well.
don't think they played Boise.
Oregon blew them out for sure.
They might have been the year before, but they played Kansas, which was the only ranked team they played. I think they might have played Texas when they were ranked as well, but Texas blew them out. They beat Texas. Sorry, Kansas blew them out, and then they just played a lot of FCS teams
Right.
and stuff like that. So, like North Dakota State, like they literally won. Colorado literally won with a Hail Mary touchdown to beat them.
Mm.
And that's not even an FBS team. So
No, they're Division 2.
Division 2. So I don't know. I feel like the hype around Dion and what he's done and all that sort of stuff is probably a little
Yeah,
bit
but a fair bit
over
of
the
this
top.
is just Dion, doing work on the mic to spruik everything. I
Yeah.
agree with that for sure.
And I get if his mindset is I want to sell my school and this is a method of selling it, I don't hate him for that because that's his job. His job is to sell his school,
To
recruit
recruit,
players,
that's true.
and to make the school dominant.
Yeah, but
That's
sell
his job.
your school saying, hey, I can put you in a position where you can be like a Travis Hunter or a Shador. You don't retire the numbers.
But maybe that's his point. Maybe
Yes.
that's hey, I can make you. We can make you
Can
so
make you a
good like
legend,
Travis
yeah,
Hunter
can
that
make
you'll
you
be
a
a
legend.
legend of this school when I retire your number in 4 years' time.
in,
Or you can go and play for Alabama and be another guy on the list.
in
Look,
your
I get it, but I just don't have to like it.
No, I don't like it either. I'm just trying. I'm being Jay's advocate.
Yeah.
Jay's advocate here. It doesn't make sense.
It's
To me.
upsell.
I would
While
never
we're
do it.
Just quickly while we're talking on Hunter, did you see this thing that he said through the week that if he can't play both ways in the NFL,
retire,
he'll
yeah.
just stop playing football?
Yeah.
You see that?
Cap.
What a
That's
fucking
cap.
idiot! Like, why are you saying that?
Because he's trying to up his draft value. I actually
Up his draft value.
yeah. I think
How's he upping it by doing that? If anything,
Well,
he's hurting his draft
to me,
value.
if I'm a GM hearing that, I'm saying he's comfortable playing both ways in the NFL. He's comfortable playing any position we want in the NFL. So we're drafting a guy that he's happy to be a DB and happy to be a wide receiver, no matter what. He wants to play both. That might not happen, but he's comfortable in doing it. So we're drafting a guy that we can find a position.
If you're drafting him in the first round, you're drafting him as a corner, not as a
Well,
wide receiver.
I think it's a nice thing to have that maybe let's just say whoever drafts him, they in 2 years' time, he's a good DB, and they're like, well, we have no receivers this year, but we've actually just signed 2 free agent DBs. We could do without him playing defense full time,
Right.
and he's a really good receiver too. You could move him to receiver and see how it goes. It gives you versatility.
Is there a need for him to come out and say that in the media?
No, there's no need. But these guys are saying a lot of things at this time that's absolutely completely unnecessary. It's all upping his draft value. That's all he's trying to do.
I hate this shit.
These
I
guys
reckon-
have a.
I
massive
agree. I'm
ethos.
old school. Just
Just shut the fuck up and play football.
your record says enough. Just go out there and get
Your
it.
awards, your
your-
stats, your play,
your
everything.
tape.
Hey,
Everyone
if you
knows
want
you're
to
good.
talk,
Your tape says everything, mate.
stay down in the college level with Dion. If you want to talk there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there'll be teams.
Because in the
that
pros,
won't.
no one gives a fuck what you say. It's all about your tape.
What have you
That's
done
it.
for me now? Nothing.
Yeah,
You
100%.
haven't walked into the building.
Can we talk about some good football players, please?
Yes.
Level aside?
So let's start with Patrick Peterson. He signed a 1-year deal with the Cardinals to retire as a Cardinal. I think Patrick Peterson's a really weird one because he had a really good early career. Like his first couple of seasons were great. And then he struggled for a year or so.
yet. Then went to Pittsburgh and sort of came back again.
No, well, they couldn't work out why. This was when he was in Arizona still. So
Yeah.
before he became like the All-Pro in Arizona.
Yep.
And it was because he was a diabetic. He was
Oh, really?
yeah, like whatever I don't know what the levels are, but he was a quite bad diabetic,
Mm-hmm.
and he could never keep his energies up. Couldn't do it, and they were like, "Why are you playing so badly now?" And he had to get on a whole bunch of medication. I remember this because remember with the Arizona Cardinals in season Hard Knocks, they were like the first one to do it.
Right.
It was all a part of that season. That was his kind of comeback season.
Oh, cool.
And it was because they worked out he was diabetic and then found a way to insulate him, getting the sugars he needs, but not
Sure.
too much because then you burn out. And
Yeah.
had to find the right recipe
Mm.
to keep his energy high all the time because he'd be super energetic and then halfway through training he'd have nothing.
Yeah. Once you
And they couldn't work out why. And it was because he was a diabetic.
Yeah.
And then
I didn't
turned
know
into I think he was a couple of times all pro. He had some amazing seasons.
Fantastic. Yeah. He was a very good player for a very long time.
He was one of the best corners in football for at least 3 or 4 years. In fairness.
Pretty high level for basically a decade too. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
mean feat. That's no mean feat.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Patrick Peterson. Long career. How many seasons did he play, Brock? Was it 13? Yeah, about 13.
13.
Yeah,
How
13,
many-
13 years in the NFL.
What's his All Pros? We're All Pro a couple of times, surely.
3-time All-Pro.
3-time All Pro. It would have been, 7 or 8 Pro Bowl.
Eight Pro Bowls, 3-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
Would have no reason.
Hall of Fame. He was in the 2010 team of the year.
Yeah,
decade.
All
Yeah,
2010.
I would say if he's not a first ballot, he'll be close.
I think he's first ballot.
I think
Depending
he's
on
that good.
depending on who's in
Depending
his
on the class,
but
yeah.
you'd have to say
we had
very
this
close.
last week, didn't we?
Yeah. And the next guy who retired, this is a bit of a soft spot for me. Tyrone Smith re-signed with the Cowboys today to retire as a Dallas Cowboy. Tyrone Smith was drafted so young. He was one of the most reliable left tackles in football. Like I know everyone talks about Zach Martin. He doesn't quite have the accolades of he's had less holding calls than all pros. But tackle's a lot more competitive a market throughout the league. There's a lot more better tackles than there are guards,
Sure.
I believe, especially in the
And I
last
think-
10 years.
I think historically as well, DNs have been better
Yep.
than defensive tackles. So you're going
100%.
against better talent and a more variety of talent. And obviously Tyron Smith just held his own and was dominant for
Yep.
a good 10, 12 years.
Again, 8-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All Pro. He was in the All Pro Team of the Decade for the 2010s as well, same as
Yep.
Patrick Peterson. This guy, like I said, I love this. This is one of the guys that made me love offensive line. Him, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, those guys. Watching them play, I just got to the point where I just would want to watch the game on all 22, so I could watch those guys
Yeah.
play.
Yep.
He was a big reason in that. I loved him. He was a baller. He was hurt a lot and just played through.
Yep.
His last season at Dallas, where he was an All-Pro, second-team All-Pro that year, which won't show up. It's only first-team All-Pros that show up there. He was second-team All-Pro. He couldn't train because he was so dinged up. They were basically like, just don't train and play. He was
just get all the
needling
shots.
himself,
Yeah.
getting himself ready for games, and playing a lot. And I'm disappointed that his career ended at the Jets. But I think when it's all said and done, we talk about him in 10 years' time. No one will ever remember him being on the Jets.
No,
Yeah,
It'll just be he was a Cowboys guy.
It'll be one of those things like, oh, do you remember this guy played for this team? It's
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
that kind of shit. Yeah.
In hindsight, he probably should have just hung them up last year. But in fairness, he was a second-team All-Pro last year. If he'd stayed in Dallas and stayed on the same regime, he probably would have had a better year. Probably not a great year still, but a better year because the signs were there at the end of the season. His last year at Dallas. But yeah, if you play 14 years in the NFL at offensive line,
phenomenal.
Yeah, like you just know how to play football because it is so physically demanding on
A
you.
lot of miles.
And as we've said this before, like they talk about unpadded practice at training. Offensive linemen don't do that. They are always, whether they've got pads on or not, there's no way you can non-contact protection drills, running drills. You just can't do it. So it's maybe less physical, but it's all physical because you have to be. It's just the way it is. So I think it's I love Tyron Smith. I've got a signed helmet of his and I'll cherish that for a long time. He's one of my favorite players ever.
Shout out.
And I think I've got a jersey somewhere. I love him. He's a terrific player.
I just want to touch on something with the NFL and the retirees. I feel like the NFL just does not give them the respect that
teams do. I think I agree with you on the NFL.
In terms of like fanfare, what do you mean?
Yeah, if NBA is a perfect example. Someone retires in the NBA, they get like their own day, home ceremony. They get a thank you with the fans before the game, before the national anthem. I'm talking about the upper echelon. If you've played for one team for 6 years, you get what you get. But like the guys that have retired, like we've had Julio Jones, Tyron Smith, obviously Patrick Peterson, Zach Martin. These guys are like first ballot Hall of Fame caliber guys.
Yep.
And I feel like the NFL just and maybe the teams, but they don't get sent off the way that they should.
I think there's a reason. I think there's too many players. Like the NBA, like what do you got on a roster? 15 players.
Yeah.
And 8 or 9 guys that play consistently a lot.
Yeah, I see your point.
It's
but
a lot less guys. It's easy to celebrate a single player.
Not every, you only like maybe 3 or 4 guys every couple of years get that in the NBA, but they still get that. Like these guys in the NFL don't get anything.
No, it's fair. Like, I know for a fact Zach Martin's actually coaching for the Cowboys this year. He's on as a coach, as an assistant offensive line coach. I don't know what Tyron Smith's plans are. They'll be put into the Cowboys Ring of Honor I think it's 3 years you have to be retired before you put in the Ring of Honor. It also, am I crazy that it won't shock me if halfway through this season the Cowboys are like, hey, we're struggling at left tackle. We've got an injury. Come in and play left tackle for us.
Right. Yeah.
I think if you made the choice now, you're done.
I don't know. There are plenty of guys that I think JJ Watt did that. No, Tom Brady definitely did. But I think JJ Watt did that as well and then came back. I hope not. I don't like when guys do that with their career. But I think you're onto something there, Scotty. I don't know what it is about it. It seems to be harder for them to celebrate. The NFL, they'll do a couple of social media posts and that's about it.
Yeah.
There's not they don't do as much fanfare about it.
I do feel like the NFL is very like cutthroat, very like, all right, on to the next.
You're done now. Let's work
On to the next.
who's the next left tackle? Like, it's all good.
But like
off the depth chart board, throw it in the bin.
Let's just say the second home game for the Cowboys, they should just have for the halftime, and we could be wrong.
They could do it.
They could do it. But just be like, hey, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, all their accolades, everyone give them a round of applause for the great career they've had for your Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, do it. Hey, we're giving out Tyron Smith bobbleheads in this game for the home game. Sure. I feel like you're right. Maybe we hear about it more in the NBA, or maybe it happens more. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're right. They seem to do a lot more fanfare for the fans to say goodbye for these players.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though, George. I think the NFL is just...
It's very cutthroat.
It's real business-like. Yeah. It's like, you know what? He's retired. Great. I think their fanfare is, hey, we've signed him as a Dallas Cowboy to retire. I think that's where they...
enough.
I don't know.
Not enough.
I don't know. It's just maybe the way they do it.
Because, like, for me, like Bobby Wagner's going to retire a Seahawk. Like, so I'll fight on to the death. He's a Seahawk.
Yeah, I think he's more of an LA Ram. Personally.
Yeah, definitely. But like he's the caliber of those players. I'd say he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Definitely.
And he was one of the 2 dominant linebackers for his time,
and played in one of the most dominant defenses in the history of the NFL.
And I think that Seattle do like the ring the bell thing before a game, and that's pretty much it. But I'd like to see more. Yeah, I'd like to see some more.
I know the Vikings do. The retired players come and blow the horn.
Yeah,
okay.
But it's a few years later, and the Ring of Honor thing's definitely cool as well. But I would like to just see some more appreciation to.
I think
to
the
these
old
all-time
rich
greats.
white guys that run the league just don't care, man.
The Ravens do it. They come out, they hold the shield before the game, but that's the same as like 2-3 years later. They come out and do that to hype the
Yeah.
crowd up and stuff like
Maybe
that.
it's because they get burned so many times. They're like, hey, you just retired. Come out for the first game. Then a year later, they're like, hey, I'm actually coming back.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't. We just retired you.
Yeah,
What
the
are you
Tennessee
doing?
Titans have reached out. They're
Yeah.
going to give me $3 million. I'm back, baby.
Cash talks, man. It turns out they're going to give me 5. I'm in. Anyway, I think they're two good players. We've had some big retirements. Julio
It's a
Jones,
good class for
Patrick
a Hall
Peterson,
of Fame.
Tyron Smith. Do you think all three of them, all 4 of them, so
Hall of
Tyron Smith, Julio Jones, Zach Martin, and Patrick Peterson are all first ballot?
No.
Because realistically, they're not all going to be.
No.
I think it's more
I think
likely
it's probably
Julio Jones probably will be. But they're all team of the decade. They're all similar all pros, all similar pro bowls. They're all the same caliber guys.
I think
I'd say Zach Martin will have to wait a couple
I
of
would
years.
say Zach
'Cause
Martin's
guards
one that
are-
misses out.
Guards are guards. We respect guards differently than what the
Yeah,
NFL does.
yeah. And that's why when we had this conversation about first ballots, it depends on the class because
100%. And like who's running out too.
well, that's right.
I think there's a 10-year window maybe that you can
I
get
think
in.
it's a little bit longer, but
Maybe
yeah, there's
longer. So
definitely-
there might be guys that are in there, whatever the last year is. It's like, well, we have to get this
get them
guy
in.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
absolutely unfair. This guy hasn't made it.
Mm.
Every year there's been another first ballot we've got to get. Like maybe we just got to suck it this year. These guys can all get in next year.
Yeah.
But this guy has to get in this year, which is
Yeah.
I also respect that too. If there's a guy that they fully think deserves to be in there.
Yep.
There's a lot of good players that aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and there's a lot of anyway. There's probably a conversation for another.
Should we move on to some
What's the
teams?
plan?
This is our final. What's the plan?
Our final go. What's
for
the
this
plan?
off-season?
Drafts next Friday, so we'll do some draft stuff next week. It's our final 7 teams.
Hey-o.
Let's start with the Atlanta
Atlanta
Falcons.
Falcons.
What's the
That's a
Scotty?
very
I'm
nice
going to
shout.
go
I
to you
like
to
it.
what's the plan because you love this shit.
I do.
What's
I do.
the plan for Atlanta?
So Atlanta, they're in a bit of a tricky spot here. Half rebuilding, half all in. The roster's sort of average, but if I was in charge of the team here, I would take the best available edge, and it's probably going to be Shamir Stewart from Texas A&M. He's like just an athletic freak. He's lightning quick. He looks the part of the perfect DN. I'll take him. Or if he goes a little bit earlier than what they project, I would go with Jaheed Campbell. He's the Alabama linebacker. He's sort of he's perfect for the new NFL. He's sort of like he can rush the edge, play a bit of a D end.
Yep.
Outside linebacker, he can play the mic. His stats, his measurables are like 95 percentile.
Yeah,
He's just athletically a freak.
Yep.
So one of those two players shore up the D end and linebacker is obviously their biggest issues. The defense as a whole, but yeah, predominantly those
such
issues.
a bad defense.
And
what they cannot
what's
do is
worse-
draft a wide receiver.
Well, what's worse is they only have picks 1, 2, 4, 7, and 7. So you've only really got picks 1 and 2 to improve your team.
Yeah.
For right now.
4 is a bit of a hit and miss or a project player, and 7's probably, that's
Not
an
on the
absolute
roster, really.
diamond of the rough.
Yeah.
And then lastly with them, I've just got too many holes to fill, but you just have to address inside D line, which is your defensive tackles, linebackers, and edge. So basically, that front 7 just needs improvement there for them.
They just don't have great edge rushers. They signed Leonard Floyd, he is your ultimate. We need some guy who can rush the passer. Let's sign Leonard Floyd. He's been that for the past 5 years.
He's a bit of a mercenary. Like
He's solid.
Yeah. I in the ideal situation, you'd want to draft a guy and have Leonard Floyd be a little bit of a teacher there and also pinch hit in on third down situations.
Yeah.
So
100%.
you don't want to have Leonard Floyd out there as your starting D end.
And they lost a good center in Dalton last year.
Dalton's a
which
huge
is-
loss, yeah.
I'm shocked they didn't re-sign him. I think that was actually a mistake.
Good pick up by the Bears, though.
Yeah, I think maybe
Bears. Yeah, you're right.
Bears.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that was a bit of a mistake by them. You need to keep centers, but their O line as a whole is pretty solid.
Solid O line. Yep.
Jake Matthews is one of the unsung heroes of the NFL.
He doesn't get anywhere near the flowers he
Like
should
the
get.
dude has not missed a game in 12 years.
Mm.
Like he just doesn't miss
Same
games.
draft as Luke Jokel, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
Yep.
just a solid. Is he the best tackle in the NFL? No, he's nowhere near the worst. He's probably
He's like a borderline top 10.
yeah, he's probably sitting around
10 to
between
15.
10 to 15.
Yep.
And you know what you get out of him every single year. He's solid as a rock. You know what he can do. He's not going to miss football games. He's a veteran. He's a great leader.
His old
from
man
all
played in the
reports.
NFL too, didn't he?
His old man and his uncle and his cousin.
Yeah,
his
right.
uncle
Good
is
genetics.
his cousin's Clay Matthews.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
cool.
related. They're cousins.
Oh.
Have you not seen them? Do you remember when there was years ago now, obviously, Green Bay and Atlanta did a preseason like training together,
Nah.
and it was Clay Matthews versus Jake Matthews.
No,
Oh, no
just
way.
all out.
And Jake Matthews was pretty young then. He was only his third. Maybe it might have even been his rookie year.
Oh, true.
And mate, those dudes were brawling.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they had to break up 4 or 5 fights where like both teams are like, you're related. And I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
That would
And
make
then
me go
afterwards-
harder.
Afterwards, they were just hugging it
Yeah.
out. And
Yeah,
stuff.
of
But
course. You
during
know
the-
they've been talking shit.
yeah, the training. I'll never forget it. I'm like seeing it on the videos of it. I was like, wow, these
That's
dudes. You would think they fucking hate each other.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
hard they were going. To what the coaches were like, just chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's practice, and
Yeah.
they're like, nah,
That's
nah.
cool.
Like this is a respect thing now. Like it
So
was.
yeah, his
cool.
dad did play in the NFL. I thought.
I think
so,
his
yeah.
dad was Greg Matthews, who played guard for a long time. I could be wrong on the name.
Okay.
But his old
Shout
man
out.
played NFL at offensive line for a long, long time, and I believe he's a Hall of Famer.
Shout out.
So
But Atlanta, they've got some good players, obviously. Penix is good. You've got,
the interesting one's Kyle Pitts.
I'm off him. You've got Scott, and you've got like AJ Darrell, what's his name? Scroll down.
AJ Terrell. The
Terrell,
corner.
yeah, the
he's
corner.
such a good corner.
Yeah. And then the Bengals corner, Jesse Bates.
Just about the safety. Yeah, he's really
safety,
good.
sorry. Yeah.
He's good. Yeah.
So they've got some areas where they're quite talented, and they've got some areas where they're average talent. So in a tough spot. I
What
don't know
are they going
where-
to do with Cousins?
I think he'll be traded.
They'll eat some of his salary and get rid
Yeah,
of him.
I think he'll be traded when a team becomes desperate, like maybe a Saints when they need a veteran
Yeah.
quarterback
Yeah,
to
it's not a
come
bad
in.
shout. Not a
Someone
bad
like
shout.
that will come in and go, we'll take him for a
Saints,
fourth round
I
pick,
would
fifth round
still
pick.
say that he ends up in Cleveland. I think Cleveland's.
I think Cleveland are taking Shador. The more I think about
Yeah,
it, the
oh,
more
like,
it
yeah,
makes
yeah,
them
yeah.
go.
We-
Cleveland
about
just
that.
signed Joe Flacco as well.
Yeah, true.
I missed
Black
it. Yeah,
dog.
you're right. Yep.
Hoping to rewind the clock 2 years when he,
Yeah.
when he was elite.
Yeah.
I don't see
Flacco.
If they get
Watson.
Andy Dalton, they've got the ultimate AFC North combo happening in that. in that
Andy
QB
Dalton's in
room.
Carolina still. He
Yeah.
re-signed. He knew
Shout out the Red
wants to be
Rifles.
Bryce
Speaking
Young's
of
backup.
Carolina, we have the Panthers coming up
Yes,
next.
absolutely. Scotty,
Oh,
terrific segue from you.
Smooth as silk, our boy.
Can I say what my plan for the Panthers should be?
Oh, you want boys Atlanta? Anything before we?
No, I agree with you on a lot. They need to take talent defensively
Defensive
more.
talent is what they need.
If
yeah.
they draft another offensive guy, they're idiots. They've got Bijan. Drake London's really like one of the surprise packages of last year because I thought he'd kind of at best be a 2.
Yep.
He looks like the way he developed last year. He's a good a 1A sort of guy.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think he'll ever be
He's
the
not your
elite
alpha.
guy
Yep.
because he hasn't got the athleticism, but he's huge. Like
Good
he
catch
could,
radius.
He could be a poor man's Mike Evans. Because I
Mm.
don't want to say anyone's going to be like Mike Evans because he owns the record for most 1,000-yard seasons in a row. But that
He's
sort of
Mike
caliber guy,
Evans-esque.
yeah,
Yeah.
red zone threat, could score a lot of touchdowns.
Who was the
Big,
guy they got
tough-
from the Bears that came on as well?
Mooney,
Mooney. Darrell Mooney.
money with 2 O's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was literally thrown.
He was
to the,
very good.
Got nothing from him at the Bears. Had one good year at the Bears, and then finally found a spot where he
Army
did really
fantasy
well.
if that good year.
Yeah, he was,
Loved it.
but he was great last
Yep.
year for them. So I think if everything trending the right way, they roll with Penix. Obviously, going to roll
Yep.
with Penix. It's some excitement there. Like Kirk Cousins. Yeah, we liked the signing last year, but it wasn't exciting. It wasn't like they're Super Bowl contenders now. They were maybe a division winner.
Glad you
contender.
guys fooled.
They did. I thought they'd win the division.
I thought they'd win the division
I think
too,
they're
yeah.
talented enough to win the division, but they don't have Baker. That's the problem, and they're competing with a guy like that.
Mm.
So hopefully, Penix, big arm, one of the smoothest throw mechanics
Natural,
in the NFL.
yeah.
Like just he flicks it with almost.
He'll
no
have
wind
a
up.
good shot.
It's an
at it
exciting
this
year for him. They're not there, but it's something he can get excited
I
about.
think there's no reason to think they cannot win the division. I truly believe that.
No, I still don't think they're
I won't be picking them. I'll be picking the Bucs because I think they're a bit better. But
Yeah.
there's no reason to think that the Atlanta can't. Like they were half a game off winning it last year.
Yeah.
You know.
That I think the team that we got coming up is probably more of a chance of winning the division.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's go to the Panthers. The plan for these guys is simple for me. Bryce Young benched him last year, copped it like an absolute man, showed his colors, worked his ass off. When Dalton got hurt, took the starting spot back, and then basically said, "You're not getting it back off me again."
Mm.
His play down the stretch. If you didn't know anything about the NFL and watched him and CJ Stroud through the back half of the season last year,
Yep.
you would have just instantly gone, Bryce Young's a much better player.
Yep.
That's how well he played. He was
Oh yeah, based on their
decisive.
play, absolutely. You would
Yeah,
have.
he was decisive. He was tough. He did everything, like throwing the ball accurately while getting hit. I think the plan needs to be what do we need to do to continue Bryce Young's success in the NFL?
Yep.
Everything needs to be driven around that. Now, they've done nothing to show that in the offseason. They signed Rico Dowdle, who he's an okay running back. I don't dislike him. He was fine for the Cowboys last year, but he's fine.
He's not a game changer.
No, he's much like the Miles Sanders signing the year before. He's just a dude you're going to throw in to run the ball a few times a game.
Yep.
They didn't sign a wide receiver. They're still rolling with Adam Thielen, who I like, but he's Adam Thielen. We know what he is at this point. He's a slow slot receiver.
I think Xavier Leggett's. I think he's got something in the tank. He's got some juice about him.
I agree. I think Leggett's got some go. He's very athletic. He has the best accent in football.
Absolutely, he does.
Unreal. His interviews are hilarious.
Yeah.
He's terrific. He's very likable.
He needs
at stages. I think he's putting it on, and he's like, "Oh no way, he's not."
No, that's you couldn't even act that well. You could get Brad Pitt, and he couldn't act like Xavier Leggett. So I think it's great. But again, I don't know if they did enough. Like they've got their tackles. I'm happy with. Equanu's a really good tackle.
Equanu's good, yeah.
Moton's a really good tackle. They re-signed a couple of years ago. Robert Hunt they bought in last year for way too much money, but he's a solid guard.
He did okay, yeah.
And they've got Damian Lewis and Austin Corbett. The offensive line is not. I don't think it's a massive issue, but I don't think it's also you're not writing home about them.
No, and they did what the Bears and Vikings did this year. They saw that the offensive line was an issue, and they got the best guys. Unfortunately, the best guys weren't elite, but they were good. And they've got a okay to good O-line now.
Yeah.
So,
do you know what the fun fact? Or know a fun fact about the Panthers? They have Jordan Matthews playing tight end for them. The same Jordan Matthews that played wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, right.
He is still in the NFL.
Wow.
Jordan Matthews, the same
that
guy.
was a while ago too.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Still on their roster. He was on their roster. He didn't catch the ball much, but the fact that he's moved from wide receiver to tight end and he's still on a roster, I think it's hysterical.
Wow.
Yeah. So fun fact, he's been around for a long time. Last year they were a bit unlucky too. Brock, just scroll down on the depth chart for us. Their D tackle, whose name I've forgotten. What's his name? Derek Brown. He got hurt last year. He is dominant.
Yeah,
like he's like on the verge of becoming the Giants' defensive tackle.
Brian Burns.
No, the D tackle, the big dude. What's his
Leonard
name?
Williams.
No, he's at the Seahawks.
Who's at the Giants as well?
Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
Dexter Lawrence.
He's on the verge of becoming like a Dexter Lawrence sort of guy.
Well, that's why they let Brian Burns walk.
Yeah, I
They
agree.
had him in the building.
I agree. They've got the mercenary Jadeveon Clowney coming back for his second year. Which is gold.
It's the first time since I think it was his rookie contract or something
that he's played 2 years
in the same team. Yeah. One thing just before we get into what's the plan with these guys, that it was respectable that they had a bad year last year, and most teams would just pull the pin and tank.
Yep.
But they just went, nah, we're ruining your season when we play you. We're going to ruin your season when we play you.
Yep.
I think they knocked out 3 teams out of playoff contention.
I remember when the Cowboys played them, I was terrified because it was still in the race then. And the Cowboys surprisingly pumped them, which was a shock of the year.
Un-Cowboys like
it. Was like, I was like, this is the one they just get asked. And they're done. But
it's respectable. It's respectable to go in there with the mindset of, hey, we're just going to ruin seasons. And I think that's a good building block for this year. And I think they're a dark horse for the division.
Culturally, it's a good building block. 100%.
Do you think they're a chance to win the division?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I think they're
based on Bryce Young. Is that the main thing you think, or just the talent around it? Because I don't think they have enough offensive talent around Bryce Young.
No, but I can see them, and we'll go into what would they do, but I can see them addressing the wide receiver and running back into early mid rounds.
Yep. Where are they drafting, Brocky?
9th, and they're going to get
9th. They're
8th.
They're 8th.
Yep. Which is a pretty good pick, and if the player that I think that could falls, that's electric. But
is it the safety?
No. He comes up today. Shocker.
No, I'm shocked.
I'm telling you, if you haven't seen anything, we'll get to him.
No, you made us watch an hour of tape last week on him after the game.
Are you not impressed?
I was impressed.
He's good. I'm telling you.
Was I entertained? Yes, I was entertained.
All right. Are you going to do what's your plan for the Panthers? Or are you
I've said my plan. My plan is they need to load up on offensive talent to keep Bryce Young's progression going in the right direction. Because I think Bryce Young, I've gone from thinking this guy's never going to make it in the NFL to thinking with the way he played, not even the like physical talent watching him play. It was more the grit
and
how hard he played, the leadership. Like, how many young kids get benched and then come back and do that.
Yep.
It was literally like, oh, his career's over. Like we all thought it was like
Who's going to get traded?
he's
and then-
done. He'll be on another team by the end of the year. Like it's
Yeah.
over. They've drafted wrong. They've burnt the first overall pick. They've stuffed it up. They're finished. The fact that kid has got the caliber, like mentally, to come back and do what he did, that is super impressive. And it's hard to measure.
Yep.
But that's a big sign that he's got all those intangible traits that you can't measure. And I'm super impressed. That is my plan. Every time they are sitting there going, all right, first round pick, who do we got? What makes Bryce Young better? This guy, done. What makes Bryce Young better in the second round? This guy, done. That's their only goal. Because the defense will work itself out. I think they'll be fine. Like they're not going to be a good defense no matter what they do.
Trying to get
draft.
as much talent on the offensive side of the ball is the right move, so they can score and do all the good things.
And in a draft where there's not a lot of receiver talent, they could potentially get the best receiver at 9, which I think is that McMillan out of
I don't know if you burn a pick
is
there.
Is it Arizona State? Is that have I got that
Yes, Arizona State.
right? Or is it A&M?
No, ASU. Yeah,
It's definitely the A. Their logo is an A.
Yeah.
So that's what that's my plan. Just build around him every time you can.
So for the mock, and this is, I think, is a good pick as well. They've got a big need at edge and wide receiver. So if they do add Jalen Walker, he's just like your hair's on fire. He's a linebacker edge, sort of hybrid, kind of like a Jaheed Campbell, but he's a genuine playmaker on defense. Genuine playmaker.
Yep.
He finds the ball. But good things happen when he's around the ball. And I think if they add that playmaker and defense, you can solidify that side of the ball. You've got JC Horn. You've got a couple other players there that are up and coming and quite good. And then you find your offensive guys. So we've talked about the running back draft. It's quite deep. They had the young guy to his knee coming back from a knee. Brooks.
Terrible story.
And he was a gun running back, but I think you just have to draft another running back now.
Yeah, it sucks.
They do
Brooks.
have a first, second, third, fourth, fifth picks.
They've got a lot of picks.
So they got a lot of. You can still get talented players in the 4th round.
Well, they've got a lot of at bats, so
Yeah.
they can have a lot of swings and hope a few of them stick.
So if you try and get a decent running back in the mid rounds, you 2 receivers in the mid rounds, and then you go your D line again. Like it's a good position to be in, and that's why I think that they're going to hit on something. And then you're not that far away from the division because they're not that far away from the Bucs.
No,
The Bucs were hurt last year, but they weren't that far away. What did the Bucs do that was special that you think that Carolina can't progress and do?
no, the Bucs just won games when it mattered. That was the difference down the stretch. They just won, which the other teams didn't. And obviously Carolina won that position. But as I said, if you look at their second half of the season last year, Carolina, it is not hard to sell that they're a good football team.
Yeah.
They're better than a lot of football
I think
teams.
Canales, give him another year with Bryce Young as well, as we saw what happened. The chemistry grew. Yeah, I'm on him.
You like Carolina?
I like Carolina, yeah.
I just like Bryce Young, and I never thought I'd be on a podcast where I'm sitting here saying that I like Bryce Young. George, you were a big...
I still want to see a bit more.
You were big anti Bryce Young, but you turned last year as well.
Look, I was congratulating how tough, how well he took the benching for one, and 2, how tough he was down the stretch. That surprised me.
Yeah, that's I'm
considering how
the same.
little he is.
Because obviously he's talented. Because no one goes number 1 overall if you're not talented.
Yeah,
Like you obviously have talent to go number 1 in the draft. Like it's not just let's just take this guy out of North Dakota State number 1 because he's okay.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles did that year with Carson Wentz.
Like Trey Lance as well.
Like Trey Lance.
Yeah,
Just
Trey
we're
Lance,
49ers.
To be
North
fair though, Carson Wentz had an MVP season.
Carson Wentz should have won MVP, but he broke
Yep.
his wrist.
Yeah.
Agreed. And then
I think it was his knee.
and then Nick Foles flopped that Willie out.
Big Dick Nick.
Oh, Big Dick Nick. One of the greatest seasons in the history of the NFL, Big Dick Nick.
Amen.
The one time I wasn't upset because Nick Foles was very likable. All right, next team. Let's get to the Rams. These guys are very bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't think they are that talented, but I didn't think they were that talented last year, but they seem to find a way just to win football games. And I think a lot of that stems to Jamie Stafford, to Matt Stafford.
Shout out, James.
Shout out to
Jambo.
Stafford. Daft Dog, my favorite Stafford. They got Puka Nacua, obviously talked about him a ton. He's a great receiver. He's heading into that elite level receiver, going into his
Devontae Adams,
surgery.
obviously.
And I loved the Devonta Adams signing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
People are like, they pay too much. First of all, money means shit. They don't care. Like they will pay guys whatever they want to bring them into the building.
He'll outproduce $20 million a year.
I agree. I think when you look at what other receivers were getting paid, what did Cooper Kupp get in the end? He got more, didn't he?
No.
Slightly less?
It was worked out to be about $14 million a year
Sorry, but
and less guarantees.
But Adams was less than what Cooper Kupp would have got on the Rams.
Yeah,
I
so
think
he
gonna
was
get
30
28.
mil. Yeah, 30 mil at the Rams.
That's what I'm
Yes.
thinking.
Yeah. That's where you
So
get.
the fact that you can trade out Adams for Cooper Kupp, I think at this point,
Adams is better.
I think Adams is a better receiver than Cooper
Yes.
Kupp. I
Yep.
truly believe that.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp's had 2,000-yard seasons. They were two very, very,
Yep.
very good seasons, including a triple crown and almost breaking the receiving yard record.
Yep.
But Devontae Adams is a better player. I think he's all around a better football player.
and
when
works
you-
out well with Stafford.
And Stafford's a baller. He's just gonna sling it. And I like Kyron Williams. I think
He's a good running back.
I think he's incredibly underrated.
O-line's a little bit.
This is what scares me. The O-line scares me.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you have an older quarterback that can't move, which is what Stafford is, he was never a runner. He was never a highly athletic quarterback.
Hmm.
My plan would be in the draft for them, they've got to go offensive line. Because I think defensively, they're pretty set. They've got Jared Verse,
No, they've got a great
Fitz,
defensive front.
Byron
Yeah.
Young.
So they've got a great
Kobe
D
Turner.
line. Their linebackers are very iffy.
Linebacker could be where they want, but I don't think any of these top off-ball linebackers, one, are worth drafting in the first round,
No.
other than the guys at Campbell is that Alabama?
Yeah,
Campbell?
Campbell. Yeah.
I think he's kind of the
He's the outlier. He might be the top 5 pick. He might be the top 5 player out of this draft.
Yeah,
He's that
absolutely.
sort of.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think he'll be there for the Rams.
Oh God, no,
So I
no.
think
He's
they-
going inside top 10.
So that they have to load up on offensive line, and they've got Stafford for another year, maybe two. Load up and try and get the most out of him while you've got him.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on them. That needs to be the plan.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely O-line.
Yeah.
So I've got here with the Rams. They obviously need help at linebacker and cornerbacks. Actually, a very bad position for them as well.
Awful.
And they typically don't take linebackers or corners in the first 3 rounds.
Yep.
But I feel this year they might. If I was the Rams, I would go after Sharon Revel. He tore his ACL in the first few games, and he was the top corner prospect coming into the season. He's a genetic freak. He's like 6'4". He's super physical, super fast, and my note here is he's built like a Greek god. If you ever see this guy,
He's a bit like George.
he makes George look like a midget.
Right. And maybe a better athlete.
Yeah.
Just pump the brakes.
Midget smart.
Pump the brakes on the midget stuff, bro.
He when like the little bit that I saw of him, he genuinely looks like a DJ Metcalf,
Yeah, right.
just a slightly smaller. And I think if you like the dominant Rams when they had Jalen Ramsey, like you get these guys. One of the Witherspoon's quite good. No, sorry, not Witherspoon. Kitchens is a gun safety.
I like Cam Curl too.
Cam Curl's
I think
good.
He's solid. He's not a game winner, but he's solid. He does his job.
Kitchens loves it.
I
a
think
good
Witherspoon's solid too. He had some really good years at San Francisco and then got hurt a lot and then
Yes.
just jumped around the league.
Bit
which
older now,
sucks.
though.
Yeah, it's
pick. Replaceable.
100%. He's a bridge guy.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, so that's I would buck the trend and solidify your defense with this corner, and then like offensive line, you can get them in the mid rounds. I actually don't have their draft picks. I don't think they have a lot of draft picks this year. Off memory, I think it's like a 1st, 2nd, 4th, and a 7th or something like that. So they don't really have.
They've got 26, 90, 101, and 127, and then it drops right out.
Yeah,
Getting into the
so
6 rounds. They've got a first, a second, a third, and a fourth.
4th, 6, 6, 6, 6. Yeah, you're not going to do much with 4th, 6th round picks. You might hit on one and keep them on the roster. So
No, the first and second round are super important for them.
yes, yep, they need to really hit.
First and third round.
Yeah,
they
they've
don't have
got
a second round.
2/3. Yeah.
Also, fun fact: they have Emmanuel Forbes Jr., who was a
Yes.
top 10 pick for Washington that's already been cut.
Yeah, yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, and he probably will get cut again, I'd say.
Yeah, I actually
He
again,
was
don't watch a
shocking.
lot of college, but no one thought he was good when they drafted him. It's
Yeah.
one of those ones that's a bit surprising why Washington did it, but it certainly backfired on them. All right, anything else on the plan for the Seahawks? George, you got anything on the Seahawks? The Rams?
Yeah, like I said, I'll be going O-line. Sure.
They've got to buy another year for Stafford
Mhm.
because you can't waste him. He's that good. He's that talented. Let's get to Scotty's team. So shut off Scotty's mic. He's not allowed to say anything about Seattle.
No, you guys go first. Yeah. Go.
The plan is that Sam Darnold is going to be the Sam Darnold of Minnesota. They signed him banking he's going to be that. I think if he is the Sam Darnold that it was at Minnesota, this is the best quarterback they've had since Russell Wilson, and there's no doubt about it.
Agreed.
I like Geno.
Yep.
I'm fine with Geno. I've got no issue with him. But Sam Darnold showed us last year that at his best, He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Absolutely.
We joked about it consistently last year that if, again, you didn't know NFL and you turned on Sam Darnold, you'd be like, this guy's the best quarterback
He's
in
the
the NFL.
MVP of the league.
Do you know
he's the
how
best player.
hard I was when I watched the same YouTube highlights video when we signed him? It was like I took Viagra. I was hard for hours.
Yeah,
Hey-o.
he's a gun. And I think he's a gun off last
I've just
year.
ruined a clip too.
No, I'm in. I also think I like
Mike, it's a sponsorship.
love the Cooper Cup signing.
Great value.
Veteran guy. I also really liked the Valdez-Scantling signing.
Yeah.
That's
you-
what we needed. Yeah.
Because you need to replace DK Metcalf, who they got some good value for. They'll use that draft pick hopefully well, because Seattle, they actually do draft pretty well.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
Mostly pretty well.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, if you're hitting on about 50% of your draft, you're doing really well, which is
Yep.
what the good teams do. Because it's just, unfortunately, that's the nature of the NFL.
Yeah, of course.
50% of the guys don't work out. The average years in the NFL is 3 years for a reason. Like, it is hard. It's a hard transition. I think I don't know how they do this, but they need to make sure that Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, great name as well,
Abe Lucas, yeah, he's a gun.
they need to play 17 games to them next year.
Well,
It's what's killed them.
Cross played all of last season. Lucas had an off-season knee surgery, came back, and then had an abdominal issue towards the end of the season. I think they put him on ice when we were at the playoffs. But when both of them came back, we actually looked like some sort of resemblance of an NFL O-line.
Yeah.
Anthony Bradford's gone. That right guard position we have to do something about that. Chris Haynes is like a Yukon prospect from last year. He's all measurables, but he's just not at NFL level yet.
Yeah, okay.
So they've drafted him as a bit of a project
guy.
but-
Yep.
like what you're leading to with the draft coming up is pretty much bang on.
They have to just draft offensive line. Help. And the great thing is, and this is where I'm so confident with this team, is that Sam Darnold played with the subpar offensive line for most of last season. Now,
Yes.
he had elite wide receiver play. I think Jackson, well, let's just call him JSN.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he is.
Why is that?
I think he's potentially the best receiver, because I don't want to say his other name for the clips. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think he's one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. I think in terms
Yes.
of young slot receivers, it's him and Zay Flowers from the Ravens. I think they're
Last year statistically he was
Yeah.
the best slot receiver.
I think he's outstanding. I
Yep.
love him. I think Valdez-Scantling taking the top off is exactly what you need.
Yep.
The beauty of him is that you didn't have with Metcalf is he is happy to catch 2 balls a game.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. There's no expectations for him.
Yeah.
If he just catches a couple of deep balls,
Metcalf's the same. To be fair, like
I feel like
Metcalf's-
I'm not saying his demeanor demanded more.
Yeah.
I'm saying his caliber of player felt like he
Yes.
demanded more.
Yeah.
So they kind of at times, I remember when you played I think it was Cowboys last year, they were
Try to feed
forcing
him.
all these
Yeah.
balls to him. And in the end, it might have been the year before, I think Diggs ended up getting a pick 6 because you were just forcing the ball to him.
Yep.
And then he ended up just baiting it. And that's not what Metcalf is. He's a 4 to 5 catch a game guy.
Yeah.
That's all
He'll break
downfield.
one. He'll break one for a
Big
touchdown.
plays. You've got to get him in one-on-one coverage by beating the underneath till they go, we're forced to play one-on-one, and then he becomes the benefit.
Yep.
I think Cooper Kupp coming in, again, he's not a demanding guy. He's not going to be like, feed me the ball, I'm angry. If he can stay healthy, I think this plan could really work. I think Sam Darnold, I love Sam Darnold. I'm going to be so disappointed if he sucks. Probably not as much as you will be, Scotty.
No.
I don't see it happening.
I just,
think it will.
the way he played last year, I know he had Justin Jefferson, but we've also seen other quarterbacks have Justin Jefferson and struggle.
Yes.
So there's
yeah.
something to the way that Darnold played last year, the way he threw the ball downfield. His end of the season was dreadful.
Yep.
There's no secret behind that, but it's a kid that's never been in that situation. And he is a kid. Don't fool yourself. Just because he's been in the NFL for 4 years or 5 years. I think it's only
He
4
was
years
drafted
now.
super young.
Like, he is a kid. He's 25 years old. He's still a young guy. He's got
I
plenty
think-
of time to develop.
The very interesting thing is that for Seattle, we are just hoping that we've got pretty much all of the New Orleans coaching staff for offense. So Clint Kubiak was the offensive coordinator. He's been around for a bit. Benson is the O-line coach, and then we've got someone else who's the O-line coach as well. So we're hoping that 2 weeks that New Orleans had where they scored 90 points
Just turns over.
just rolls over into what we've got. So that's basically...
And also the other plan when I talked about injuries before, they've got to find a way to keep Kenneth Walker on the park. I know it's hard to do, but I think he's a barometer for that team.
Yep.
When he plays and plays well, they win. It's as simple as that. He's such a good football player, and
Yeah, when they're running the ball
his
well, that's for sure.
injuries has ruined him so far because he finally gets on a bit of a run, has a couple of good games, and then has an abdominal strain
Absolutely.
trying to dive for a touchdown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, not
This
diving for a touchdown. He strains his abdominal, like just unlucky
and
shit.
Seattle's seen this before as well with Chris Carlson. Chris Carlson was the same guy, all potential.
Yep.
He was a little like a meatball hamster. He would run like instead of running out of bounds, he would run infield to target a safety to absolutely annihilate him. And you get excited. But then when he retires after 5 years for neck injuries, you're like, oh, I wish we had him for
Maybe he should
2
have
to 3 more years.
Maybe he should have sacrificed those 50 hits he took
Yeah.
by just going out of bounds
Yeah.
for 5 year slides.
And Walker's a bit of the same.
Yeah.
But we're moving to a zone scheme, so the creases will open up. He's a home run.
Love him in his own scheme.
Yeah.
Love him.
So-
I think he's the barometer of this team.
Yeah.
We know what Sam Darnold can do off play action too. That's where most of his success came
That's
last
what
year.
he did last year. That's
So
right.
you can do that, and then you can utilize some really good threats. Like I'm telling you, JSN he's so good. I'm so impressed.
I'll
by
be
him.
very surprised if he doesn't have a fucking massive season. Jason.
I think he's going to have to. Well, he was I think he was the first receiver ever to have 100 catches for the Seahawks last year.
No, Tyler Lockett's got 100, and I think Steve Larcher's got 100 as well. Maybe
Maybe he broke the record for receptions in the season. Is that what I'm thinking? He did something last year that hadn't been done for a long time. Either way,
yeah.
And I said, I love the way this team's building. I think they'll take an offensive lineman in the first round.
Sure.
No doubt about it.
Surely.
And picking 18, it's a really ripe spot to get a guard.
Yeah, I think so. Well, the Mocs have, unless someone reaches. Sorry, I've just kicked my own mic. They'll have Zabel will definitely be there at 18. But if Banks is there from Texas, he's a tackle in college, but he'll move to guard. That's your home run. That is just the gods have aligned. You get him. He's the best guard in the draft. Just make it happen. And
like people are saying, well, why didn't they improve the offensive line in free agency? They tried. They swung at every guy. They got outbid. They signed at Will. They tried Will Fries. They tried Dalton. They tried Tevin Jenkins was in the building. And then left and signed. I can't remember where he signed now.
The Browns.
The Browns. He went and signed somewhere else. Like they had them all in there and tried, and they just got outbid.
Yeah, they had 3 years. I think it was about 20 mil a year for Fries, and he went to Minnesota for 5. And we wanted a physical.
Yeah.
After he broke his leg, and he goes, "Oh, well, Minnesota don't want a physical."
Yeah.
So like you can't be upset at that. But I think we're sneaky chance to win the division.
Yeah, I don't think the division's that strong. Like as I said, I don't know about the Rams. I don't think the 49ers are going to be.
Thought George was asleep then.
I don't think the 49ers were going to be any.
No, buddy, I'm right here.
You did. I feel like you growled then.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned the 49ers.
I was just clearing my throat.
The Eagles' arch nemesis, 49ers.
Cowboys last nemesis.
Yeah, no, because we actually beat them in playoff
Yeah.
games. You know, you guys, you did, but they had Josh Johnson, the quarterback. So it doesn't really count.
That's all right. That's when he broke his arm.
That was that other easy run.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
The other one where you lucked out and still couldn't finish the job.
I remember.
All right, let's get through these.
The
Bucs.
Buccaneers. I don't think this team's that good. Am I crazy?
They were really injured last year. They were very injured. Like
and
they
they still
were
managed to win the division.
Yeah.
I think Mike Evans, another year older, he was again hurt last year. He would have shat home 1,000 yards.
Yeah, shattered. Well, I mean, he got it in
the end, but he would have easily got it if he played every game.
True.
They've got, I like Jalen McMillan. He's okay. Chris Godwin coming off injury is a concern.
McMillan's, I reckon, going to be a breakout candidate this year coming up.
Potentially.
I think he's going to be an
Godwin
absolute
going to play this year?
superstar.
Yeah, they reckon he's
I think he's good to go.
Pretty good to go. And they also
Really?
signed
That's amazing.
they signed Sterling Shepard, which he's just a role player, bridge sort of guy.
Yep.
But this whole the offensive line's not great. I do like Bucky Irving. I think he's very dynamic.
He's got it. He's got that.
He's got something.
Yeah,
he just can really play. And I also like Rashad White, who's now their second running back, who's just been
he's replaceable now.
He's a bit unlucky. Like he's gone just every time he gets some success, someone good just comes in.
Yep.
But the offensive line concerns me. Tristan Wirfs is one of the best tackles in football, and then drops off a cliff after that for the other four guys.
Yep.
And I don't know where they
re-signed Breedson, didn't they?
Breedson's the left guard.
Yeah.
Who's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the Levante David coming back. Yeah, that's great for team culture. Like you bring a guy like that. He's an old linebacker. Like it's going to run out at some point.
Can I say
what
would I do
What would
You've
you
just
do?
brought it up.
Yeah.
It's kind
So
of
I've
the point here.
I've got the Bucs here. So get Jaheed Campbell. He is literally Levante David.
But but they're picking 19. Is he going to be there?
He could, yeah, he could.
Off-ball linebackers aren't sought after.
He's a top 5 talent. He is a top 5 talent, but it comes down to what teams need.
Yeah.
And there's always good players that drop. Now, we can pull up Tankathon or wherever they got Mike Green. So Mike Green there is probably more likely to go before Tampa Bay pick than Campbell.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of edge rushers. So
And he's
teams
just
will
a
get on
genetic
run.
freak. The only reason why he's at Marshall is because he had off-field issues.
Oh, one of them.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
them.
So,
Is he not as fast as Tyreek Hill, so they won't put up with it?
similar sort of
Similar
lifestyle.
story, yeah.
Yeah.
Lifestyle's diabolical.
Yeah,
out.
so just get Jaheed Campbell is a perfect replacement for Levante David, another athletic freak that's the leader of the defense, and address the edge position and cornerbacks in the mid rounds. I've got a note here saying that they did add Hassan Reddick, but that's not really moving the needle for what you have to draft.
It's a mercenary.
Yep.
It's a mercenary edge rusher. It's like Yannick Ngakoue, who they got Leonard Floyd, these sorts of guys. There's a few there every year that is, you'd prefer to have them than not have them, but you're not writing home about having them either. Like
you've got
super
2
excited.
years. How old is he? 31, 32. You've got 2 years of him. You've got a team controlled edge for 4 years. Like it shouldn't move where you need to draft.
I just think defensively for them, like other than Antoine Winfield, who's a really, really good safety and he was almost wasted on that defense last year because he's that good, but was hurt a bit.
He was hurt, yeah.
And then Vita Vea, who's stud nose tackle, but he's getting older. Like he's not young anymore. He'd be in his 30s now, which starts to run out.
Yeah.
And then Levante David, I just feel like there's not a lot of excitement on that defense.
No.
And I don't think the offense can survive having a really bad defense. I don't think they're that good on offense.
No, I think they'll definitely address the defense pretty heavily in the draft. I think they'll definitely address the D-line, the edge and interior D-line as well.
Yeah. I think so too.
There's going to be
Definitely
some
gonna
very good D tackles that would be day 2 guys normally going in the 5th and 6th round in this draft. So,
and what do we think of Baker?
I'm all aboard Baker.
I think he's proven that he can play at a high level. There.
Yeah. Do you think the Baker we've seen the last 2 years is the Baker we're going to get?
It'll be interesting now what's going to happen with because they've got a new OC because the old OC is now the head coach at
But they've said that about Baker all the time.
Jags.
He just keeps surviving.
Yeah.
Because I
So
think
they said that about Canales as well. Canales will leave and Baker would drop off, and he didn't. So I think this is who he is. I think he's wears his heart on his sleeve. He'll win. He'll live by the sword, die by the sword kind of guy. He wins the locker room.
We've said this before.
Pretty likable guy, man.
Baker's comfortable losing a game.
Yeah. And you need that.
Because he's super comfortable winning a game too.
Yep.
And he wants to win a game. So that comes with the discomfort of sometimes you're going to lose and it's going to suck.
Do you know that highlight where he's stiff arming Joey Bosa and then he just dumps it off to the fullback in the flat for a 4th down conversion? And I see that and I'm like, why'd you throw that ball? Oh, yes, Baker. I love that. Like, that is just the epitome of what he is.
I saw this thing the other day where
double coverage.
They were showing like the blacked out, so it was like you couldn't tell who the player was, just like a silhouette.
Yeah.
Of a play.
I saw that.
And they were getting the quarterbacks to like say who it was, and Jaden Daniels. It was against the Cleveland Browns where Baker had a 40-yard run and broke 4 or 5 tackles.
Yeah.
The second Baker started running, Jaden was like, "That's Baker.
Yeah,
that's Baker."
Yeah.
That hunched over.
Yeah.
Like the dude's 6'4". He looks like he's 5'8".
He's not that tall.
He's like
How
6'2".
How tall is Baker?
6'2",
I
6'1".
think he's 6'1" with
feel-
lifts
he's
in
a
his
smaller
shoes.
guy.
I feel like he
Small
looks tiny.
He walks like he's 6'7".
He's just play. He's just 6'1". Sorry,
Yeah.
that's I thought he was taller than that.
Yeah.
But just thick, tough.
That's 6'01".
So he's 6 foot.
So he's 6 foot. Yeah. Yeah.
But I know. I just like him. But the Jane Daniel, just the second he started running, was like, "That's Baker.
Yeah.
That's Baker." And all of them were doing it. The second he took, I was like, "Baker."
Yeah.
He just has that distinct style. And then when he did the first down at the end,
And
after,
the silhouette where he's like
just-
spinning. Yeah.
oh, it's
He's
just
he's
awesome.
trying to run through someone's face at 6 foot tall.
He
Yeah.
just loves it, and that's you know what, you can build around that. You can
Yeah.
buy into that. I truly believe that. So I'm glad he's found some success.
Yeah, same. I'm glad he's found a home there.
It's no surprise when quarterbacks leave Cleveland or New York, they tend to find more success.
be-
Yeah.
And I can rattle 3 off: Darnold, Baker, and Geno Smith.
Yeah.
It's just you get out of there and you find Smith. Hopefully Zach Wilson's next, but he's just strumming mums down in Miami.
Hey, you let that man do his work.
Let
all
him
right?
work. Hey,
He's doing God's work.
Let's
man.
say he's excelling off the field more than on the field at the moment.
Shout out. Amen.
All right, let's get to the Denver Broncos. I think this team's set. I think they're ready to go. I think defensively they're going to be top 10 defensively. I know defense is hard. I think they're first
Defensively,
being a dominant defense.
They're
was
top
last
3.
year.
They're top 2.
They'll be a top 5 D. I agree. Yeah.
Top 10, you reckon top 10's unfair?
They were the top defense last year.
Yeah, 100%. And they added some studs like
Yes.
Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga.
Yeah.
Talanoa for
Such
Hufanga.
good
Great
such
name.
Good pickups,
Yeah.
man.
But those dudes, what they are is physical, tough. Again, we talked about you're going to run through someone's face. That's those two dudes
Yep. Yeah.
reincarnated.
They bring the edge to that defense.
And that's almost all it needed. Like, I like Alex Singleton.
Yeah.
He's a fine white off-ball linebacker.
Yeah, he's good.
He is your clean up, sideline to sideline. I'm going to hit the right hole, do the right thing.
Yep.
Dre Greenlaw is I'm going to fly through this hole. I might make some mistakes,
Yeah.
but when I get it right, that poor running back or receiver or whoever it is with the
Someone's
ball,
dead. Get the coroner.
Get the coroner.
I love that.
Like, he is going to be
And Hufunga's the same.
Funga. Just
He misses as much tackles as he makes, but you don't forget the misses. You always remember the makes.
Yeah, 100%. And also, shout out, we give a ton of credit to
PS2?
our great, obviously give credit to PS2, he's the best cornerback in football. We give a ton of credit to our great white hope down at Philadelphia. Riley Moss is the other starting white cornerback in the
that's
NFL.
right, yeah.
Everyone giving the credit to DeJean for saving the white cornerbacks from extinction.
Yeah.
Riley Moss was there the year before. Now,
He's holding down his own.
Is he as good? No, but he's a starter. For going to his third year where he's going to be a starter. As far as I'm concerned, if you're white and you start 3 years at cornerback, you're the best player in football. You're a Hall of Famer. First ballot.
Both of them are on top 2 defenses.
Yeah, 100%. There's something to it. Sign a white corner and success comes your way. Historically, based on the last 2
guys
years.
will easily be a top 5.
You won't have any off-field issues with them as well.
Yeah. They're not throwing
We're
babies
trying
off
not-
balconies, Tyreek Hill.
We're trying not to go there. We're trying not to go there.
No, I just think Riley Moss, he almost doesn't get enough credit. Like,
shout out.
he
I
didn't have
agree.
the success that Cooper DeJean was awesome last year and we all enjoyed it. But poor Riley Moss, he wants to be on a t-shirt with the exciting whites.
He's been doing it too.
Yeah.
Like I for my breakdown as well, I had obviously Greenlaw and Hufanga and Evan Ingram as well, which is a good safety blanket for.
I forgot
Bo
they
Nix.
signed him until I looked it up today. Great signing.
That's a good.
Terrific
He's been
signing.
like his first 4 years in the league, written off as a bust. Last 2 years has actually been extremely good and top 5 tight end. So that's a very good pickup. I just have get the best player available. You
Yeah, that's
don't
all I need
have
to do.
glaring needs.
Agreed.
And then I would go wide receiver, running back, or edge in the rounds 2 to 4. And they've got quite a few picks in that area.
Where are they picking?
22,
I
I,
thought
believe.
they were 20.
20.
20.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
Is there a world, and tell me if I'm crazy here, is there a world Genty falls to them?
Nah.
No.
You think?
Not
Do you
to
think?
20.
Is Genty top 10? Like, no doubt about it.
I think he'll be
If I'm
top
the
10, but
Bears,
not
you
20th.
cannot let Genty go.
I think there's 4 or 5 teams in top 10 that should not let him go.
Yes, but
Raiders,
but the
Bears.
Raiders have a lot of needs.
True. Yeah,
So
you're right.
Yeah, it's a luxury pick. And I think the Bears, after they've addressed their O-line, and we've done the Bears to death.
Yeah, but they're in that window. You're
Yeah.
right. I think I'd be shocked. But yeah, I think they go running back first round. They just because they lost Jalen Williams, who is a sad story. He had some really good
Yep.
times there, but got hurt and then never came back.
So, yeah.
He's now going to suck it up and get just over 1,000 yards for the Cowboys this year, so they can say another 1,000-yard running back. Even
Yeah.
though
I'll go
zero
running back.
impact.
I'd go running back in the 4th round because
no need to reach on it.
because there's so much talent. There's going to be starting running backs that have been picked in like the 5th or 6th round.
Mm.
So where would you go first round then for them at 20? Offensive line?
I'll go
wide receiver.
No, because the wide receiver's not worth a first in this round, in this draft.
Yeah,
I'd go D end. I think if there's a D end, this is the perfect thing. If the draft's falling and everyone's taking defensive linemen,
Yeah.
I would take an offensive lineman. I'd buck the trend.
Yeah.
I would just literally get the best player available. If the best player available is a safety, get him. I don't care.
Yeah.
Which safety would you get if you were them though at pick 20? Who'd be there? Do you think anyone you like? Which
Um,
safety? You got any safeties in your mind that you think about a lot?
No,
Maybe get in trouble at supermarkets because you're thinking about them.
no. Look, if Nick Emenwari is there and he goes to the Broncos, I swear to God, Seattle, it's been good. Love you. I'm a Broncos guy. That's it. They've got the best defense and they get the best defensive player. He's probably not going to be the best defensive player in the draft, but I'm telling you,
wherever he goes, I'm going to get on to HD Gate. I'm going to buy you a jersey, whatever.
I've already got one. Don't worry.
Are you just waiting?
I've got it in the cart.
What college team did he play at?
South Carolina.
Gamecocks.
Yes.
Go Cox. Shout out to Horsey.
Sure, Horsey's a huge fan.
Yes. No, I think Broncos are in the sweet spot because they're really good. The only thing, and again, to just bring a bit of negativity to a team,
Bo Nix.
the only thing that scares me is Bo Nix. I've said before, I thought he'd be terrible. I was wrong about him being terrible. I don't think he's as good as the way he played. I think he's a bit of a mirage. And I also think that he has some certain limitations. Now, I think this team's maybe good enough to survive the limitations because of how good the defense is.
I think Sean Payton's a good enough coach to coach up his strengths and, try and shield him from his limitations.
But if you're talking about red flags, that's the red flag.
So I see him like he could be a Baker.
Potentially.
Sure.
I don't see any differences between him and Baker. Baker's just been in the game longer and he's more experienced, but he was they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, he's very fun. Like I didn't think I would enjoy the Bo Nix roller coaster.
I think by the time of year 4, we're looking at that going, all right, is he going to win you a Super Bowl? Maybe if all the cards line up. Yeah. But is he going to get you in the playoffs? Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've said plenty of times before, the only goal for a team rolling into a season, the first goal should be make the playoffs. That's our goal. We need to be a playoff team. Now, the easiest way to do that is to win your division. So that's your next goal. All right, we're going to need to make the playoffs. So the first goal is win the division. If that becomes unattainable, then you roll for that wild card.
Probably hard to win the division this year.
I think
there's a few good teams in there.
I don't think it's unrealistic to say that there's 3 teams from this division next year. I think Chargers, Chiefs, and Broncos will be in the playoffs. And I know they were last year, and there's like realistically one of those teams are probably going to let us down. Yeah. And realistically and gut-wrenchingly, it's probably going to be the Chargers. If we go off statistics and the way they operate, they're probably going to have...
I wouldn't bet on that. I think they're going to be good this year.
I just don't know.
They need to get talent. They need to get offensive talent.
Yeah, you can only do so much. Like, remember, buy-in struggles when you don't win. So if there's a couple... They start the season a bit slow, the Harbour... I'm not saying it's over, and then he can rebuild it the next year and add some talent and then rebuild the winning culture again. But he kind of had it was similar to Dan Quinn in Washington, right?
Yeah.
You get that new
the first year
boost,
bumped. Yep.
And I think he got that. And it wouldn't surprise me if they have a more down year next year. And then the next year they use all that cap space, use their draft capital, and then build and then look like a playoff team.
Yep.
But I think I'll be picking Denver to be in the playoffs. I think they're that talented. And I think
for sure.
Yep. I think they have a really easy plan.
I'd be picking them. Yep.
They have the capacity where they're pretty solid at a lot of areas that they can just take whatever comes to them at that 20th pick. Whatever they feel is the best player at that draft pick, just take him and hope it works out.
I couldn't agree more with any of that. Yep.
All right, let's get to the Colts.
Final team for our
what's the plan. I've got a what's the plan for these guys. And it's really simple.
Good, because I've been carrying this segment for weeks.
They're what's the plan? And I know I'm going to get George with this because he'll be interested. Their plan has to be to work out Anthony Richardson. Because if he fails, this team is a full reset. Daniel Jones isn't the savior. I've watched plenty of Daniel Jones games. He could be an okay starter for you at best. That's the best case scenario with a great offense and good scheme and all that sort of stuff. That's the best he can be. We've seen it. We've seen enough. He could have a decent year, but that's about all you're going to get out of him.
Agreed.
They drafted him number 3 overall. They reached for him. He was the darling of the draft because of all the physicals, all the tangible traits.
Yep.
And what he's shown us so far in the NFL, that the intangibles, the leadership, the effort, the practice, just the general buy-in.
Studying, film.
The buy-in you need to be a top quarterback in the NFL isn't there.
I think the word you're looking for is professionalism.
Professionalism is a great word for it. And I don't think it's there, but the Colts' number 1 plan, when they have their plan for this season, win, loss, doesn't matter. Everything hinges on what they can do with Anthony Richardson. They need to turn him into a professional footballer. That's the only plan they should have. And if that leads to 10 wins, great. If it leads to 5 wins, but you have your guy, and yet Rance Richardson's worked it out. He's
Yeah, you
become
can see
professional.
things trending in the
You
right
can see
direction.
it going in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's similar to what we were saying about Bryce Young. This has to be their goal because I think he's way more talented than Bryce Young. We know that. Physically talented.
Sure.
He is a unicorn.
Physical attributes for
Yeah,
sure.
he's a unicorn. There were games early in the season last year where there was a couple of games, I think very early, like the first or second game, where he's literally getting tackled and throws the ball 50 yards on a rope.
60.
Like lasers, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like you can't teach that skill. You have it. So their plan is, and I don't know how they do it. That's up to them. They're the ones that get paid as coaches. Every single thing they do needs to be getting guys in the building that not to help him because their offense is actually not bad. I like Pittman. I like Alex.
Josh
I like
Downs
Alec
the
Pierce.
gun.
I like
love
Josh Downs on the slot.
Yeah.
Downs
Their
the gun.
offensive line's fine. Like
Taylor's a gun.
Yeah.
O-line's fine. Quentin Nelson.
Quentin Nelson,
there, yeah.
Braden Smith, Rainman is Bernard Rainman at left tackle is a really good left tackle.
Ogletree at tight end. I don't mind that either. Like,
That's
I don't mind it.
It's not a terrible, and even Morella Cox, like
he's a blocker
he's
though.
a deep threat. So I'm saying they need to, and then Jonathan Taylor, who had one of the best rookie years ever, and then fell off the last couple of years, but the talent's there. I just think that your goal needs to be not even making him play well. I think if you fix all the other things around what he does, the play will come because he's so talented that it has to. And then if it doesn't, at least you can walk away and go, well, we tried everything. But they need to make him a professional athlete this season. That's the goal. He never had to do it in college, clearly, because
he didn't need
they
to.
just don't, they don't have to because
he's better
they're
than everybody.
so fucking talented they don't need to. There works against them, but that is the plan. If I'm the GM, if I'm Chris Ballard, that's my only goal.
This is my take on Richardson.
Yeah, we know.
Quickly.
Yeah, I know, but say it.
All the physical traits, all the physical characteristics have made football coming up through the years very, very, very easy for him.
Yep.
It's required minimal to no effort to excel.
He could have played almost any position in the college level and probably been successful.
100%.
Based on his pure
100%, and been an All-American and whatever.
100%.
So now it's gotten to the point that everyone is as big as you, as fast as you, as strong as you. And the problem is now to try and apply yourself at this late stage, I think it's going to be very difficult.
I agree. As I'm saying, it's a hard task.
I think it's going to be very difficult for him to actually just go knuckle down and now I have to do this for the first time in my life ever. And this isn't like, Div 2 college. This is the fucking pros, man. Like now you should be coming in buttoned up, not trying to button yourself up in the pros.
That's fair.
That's the first part of it. I don't think he's going to have, I think he lacks the will to do it. And two, I just don't think he's smart enough, man.
Yeah, you've said that before.
And listen to him talk.
From what we've seen as well, he comes off as a knucklehead.
Yeah. Like he just seems like a dumb country bumpkin.
And,
Sorry.
And when you say the way
he does. He does. Listen to him talk.
Well, when you're saying the way he talks, you're not saying like the way the words come out of his mouth. You're saying what he says.
What he says. He just sounds like an idiot.
He goes on these podcasts and talks about how he's the most talented guy.
Not his accent or anything. That's not what I'm talking about.
And it's like, well, you're not though, because you just like you might be physically talented. Yeah, if we're having a longest throw contest, you might win.
Sure.
But it doesn't make you a good football player.
It doesn't matter.
And it doesn't make you a franchise quarterback because we know there's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
There's so many levels to it. And he's not even on level 1 right now.
I just think he's too dumb to read a playbook and he's too dumb to read a defense. Sorry.
I truly don't believe that if you put in the right effort with the situation you're going to have around you as in the NFL, where basically whatever you want as an NFL player, if you're willing to put in the effort, you'll get it back. Because these guys are all professional coaches, professional. Every coach.
You're at the best of the best.
Exactly. If whatever you put into it, you'll get out. Exactly. I don't think that anyone is too dumb to play in the NFL.
I disagree. I think to play quarterback, you need a level of aptitude to play quarterback.
I've heard plenty of quarterbacks talk that have been terrific and are dumb as dog shit. And you can tell by hearing them talk.
This offseason in particular will tell us everything.
Yeah, we've said before, we'll know by week 3.
Yeah.
We might know by the first game. If Daniel Jones is the starter first game, we know.
Yeah, of course.
We know. And in my opinion, the Colts have failed him. Not because of – I'm taking this every element of what he is away. The Colts have failed him by drafting him at 3.
Yeah.
They've failed him by not giving him – not understanding.
How have they failed him by drafting him at 3?
Because your goal was
they failed themselves by driving him at 3.
Your goal as a coach, right? When you draft a player, my opinion is as an organization – you take a responsibility for that guy. You're taking responsibility that if we're, especially in the top 5, top 10, especially in the top 3, if you're taking this guy, there's a responsibility in you to make that work, right? Because you're not taking him because he's untalented. Because
where's your responsibility for evaluating talent then?
Well, that's their responsibility is because he's talented. He's so
He's
talented.
not
We've
James,
seen it.
He's not a top 5 pick. He's not even a first round pick. He's a third round project.
Potentially he's Joe Milton, but with more college.
George, would you be saying the same thing about Andy Dalton? Not Andy Dalton. Who's the guy?
Bryce Young,
No, the guy from Seahawks. At Seahawks now.
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Sam Darnold was his first year retarded. He did not look like a quarterback. Would you be saying the same thing about him?
But he was good in college. You could tell the signs were there that
So
he was
was
good. He was good. He played like 6 games.
He played 13 games. He played 1 season of college football.
And he was very good. He was good enough to go drafted in the top. Like, it's
I
not,
don't understand your point though. What's your point, bro? I don't understand what
You're
you're saying.
jumping. You're jumping the gun way too early
No, I
on evaluating, saying he's not good enough.
didn't say he's not good enough. I said he's not smart enough.
You
Yeah.
also said he wasn't.
I think
no,
I didn't say he's not
you never
good
said
enough.
he wasn't good enough.
No,
That's
I never said that. I said he's not smart
Okay,
enough.
but Darnold can see ghosts see ghosts out there, and he gets thrown to the bin. I think it's the case of it comes on. You don't always click straight away.
I agree.
He's a young quarterback. He's a young kid.
If you're getting drafted in the top 5, it needs to work.
Yeah, I agree. And I think
But
that's
it doesn't
on the
always work
Colts.
though.
That's on the Colts. The Colts have drafted him based off his talent and his playing college, which was good enough. A lot of teams would have liked to have him. Now, would have a lot of teams taken him top 5? I don't know, but teams loved him.
But if you're picking in the top 5 and you want him, you can't wait for the second round. He won't be
It's
there.
like Cam Moore this year. It's a very similar situation. Cam Moore's just played a bit more college, right? Similar situation. Raw skills.
I just wouldn't have
are
drafted him
outstanding.
I wouldn't have drafted him
But
in the first round.
when do you get him?
Yeah, but this is my point though. The Colts did, so they have a responsibility to him now to whatever.
They have a responsibility to the draft pick, is what they have responsibility
Yeah,
to.
if you want to call it, that's fine.
That's what I think.
But who was the draft pick?
Yeah,
Anthony Richardson.
sure,
So the
right.
responsibility falls on the player they took. They need to work out how this kid operates and find a way to get him to the level.
Yeah,
they
I agree.
need.
The onus is on the coaching
And if they
staff
don't,
to
they
try
have,
and make
they
it
have
work.
failed him and they've failed themselves.
They've definitely failed themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
If it's not, it's definitely on the coaches. Who else is it on?
The organ-
Well, it may not necessarily be on the coaches because they may have wanted someone else, and the owner goes, "No, we need this guy. We need asses in seats."
Sure, that's a possibility.
Steichen's had success, a lot of success in the NFL level. I find it hard to believe that with a guy that talented, he can't make it work.
So let's say it doesn't. I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
Shane Steichen is a great coach,
Yeah.
and he did really well in Philly with Hurts and so on.
Yep.
Let's say they can't make it work.
Hmm.
Who takes the blame?
They're all gone.
Yeah, I think they're gone. They're all fired.
Yep.
If Richardson
See, I
doesn't
think
work out this
that's
year,
really
and
unfair.
if Richardson doesn't work out this year and they win 6 games, Shane Steichen is an offensive coordinator for someone the next year.
Yeah,
He's not a head coach anymore,
he'll
and
have
Chris
20
Ballard's gone.
Like 20 phone
I think
calls
Chris
in the
Ballard's
first
untouchable.
hour.
I agree, and a lot of head coaches do when they get fired. Especially if they're offensive guys, they have a ton of guys wanting to call them. But I like Steichen. As I said, I think that's the plan. They have to fix Richardson, otherwise they are starting again, and they're starting again from the bottom because the team is not that talented. The team needs to work out Richardson, and then you can build.
I think the team's talented. I think the
team's talented
I think
enough.
the team's actually in a good spot.
They're talented enough to be a playoff team.
I
Yeah,
think
that's fair.
the issue is
In a weak's division too,
Yeah.
not a good division.
I think the issue is that the team is talented and they have to rush Richardson up to speed to be at the same level where the team is, and he's on a different timeline.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
and then that's where the
So what are you saying?
complication
They're
is.
trying to truncate his timeline too quickly, and it's
Yes,
he's not-
I think
he's not
that
ready
he
for that?
needs more time,
right.
but the team is pretty much ready to go to it to be a borderline playoff team now, which
Yeah.
is what they've been for the last 2 years.
They weren't far off it last year.
Yes,
in all fairness.
exactly. So I think their roster's pretty, and the issue is, like you said, that the organization has failed Richardson because they have not put him in the best position to succeed in this scenario.
We talked about games last year when they benched Richardson, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have plays for him on the goal line. That's failing a player. You know he can score touchdowns on the goal line, right? Think of Jalen Hurts, right? Steichen was a big instigator of the Jalen Hurts tush push. He was
Sure.
one of the big guys that started that,
Sure.
got the rugby people in the building and saying, why isn't he going, all right, Richardson, why can't we run a QB power on? It doesn't have to be the tush push. Find some plays that work for him on short yardage. Find a way to bring him to success so you can keep building him as the
Is
season
it possible
goes.
that Steichen just doesn't want him as his guy?
Or
That's
is it
potential.
possible
And then
that
again, that's him failing.
Yeah.
That's
is it
him saying
possible
that
that
I
Richardson
can't coach
doesn't
this
want to
guy.
run him?
Well, I would think by now we would know that. Because if I'm the coach and if I'm my second year quarterback's like, I'm not running that play, I would cut him.
Mm.
And then that's a bigger discussion about the franchise and all that sort of stuff. If you've got a player that won't run things that you can make him successful, then you go to the organization and go, you know what? This kid doesn't want to be successful.
He doesn't want to play
Send him to
football,
Cleveland and let him play for the Browns where he can be unsuccessful and no one will give a shit about him. Because
Mm.
you'll probably still get some value for him. Probably get a third or fourth round pick for him. Yeah, just get rid of him.
Oh, I think you'd get a second for sure.
The fact that they're sticking
For
with him
sure.
shows that, well, what did Milton got a fifth and he's played one game.
Mm.
Richardson showed more than Joe Milton the last couple of years. He just
Yeah.
factually has shown more that
Sure.
he's a better player.
Sure.
So you would probably get a second round pick for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that if Sykin can't do that, that's his job gone.
Yeah.
If you say to him, hey, well, this player won't do this, that, and the other. Hey, mate, I don't pay you to come to me with these problems. I pay you to give you these talented players and you make it work. Find something he wants to do then. Sit down with him, work it out. Because if, it's like a marriage when it fails. There's 50-50. This is the same thing. If this doesn't work,
Marriage counseling for the quarterback
but
and head
this
coach.
is what it is, though. If this doesn't work, it's on both of them.
Yeah.
And they're both going to pay for
There's
it.
no
Anyway.
doubt they've had tons of those meetings through this offseason.
Great.
To get help for Richardson, if Tyler Warren drops, you have to take him.
Big
you
number
have-
44 out of Penn State.
You have to.
Love him.
He's a good blocker, so it frees up for Jonathan Taylor.
So do you think he won't be there at 14?
If he falls, who knows? There's
You-
always a good player that falls, and
I would say Warren will definitely be there at 14 because people don't draft tight ends early unless they're like is Warren as highly touted as Brock Bowers was last year? He's definitely not because Brock Bowers was talked about as the best player in the draft at certain times. So I would say at 14 they're going to have their, if they want a tight end at 14, they're going to have their pick of Warren or Love or Colson Love.
I think Warren might be projected in a lot of mocks slightly earlier, but if he drops, you have to take him
Yeah, I agree.
because he's the playmaker, he's the blocker, he's the safety net, and then like we've been arguing, he gives Richardson another target.
Yeah, run some
A
bootleg
big
plays
body.
with him with a big tight end that you can dump it
Yeah.
off to and get some cheap yards. Build his confidence. Design an offense that's designed around building it. Because I'm telling you, if you have to start Daniel Jones, you're going to have the exact same problems with less talent.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is literally a less talented version of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
He just hasn't fucked up enough because they didn't let him in New York.
Yeah. They wouldn't let him
Like
throw it.
in fairness to Daniel Jones, all this hype, Daniel Jones could be the starter. He could rejuvenate his career. He not only got benched last year, he got cut.
Mm.
Yeah.
The point
Well,
where he was
he
like,
requested to be cut.
he was like, but if you're happy to do that, you have lost all faith in that player.
Yep.
They've lost faith in you. You've lost, as I said, it's a marriage breaking up. You're
Yeah.
sitting there and the mediator's going, well, maybe we can do this. And then you're both going, it's done.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
Cut me. I'll move on. I won't say any bad words about you. You don't say any bad words about me. Give me a good reference for another team and let's see what happens in my career. This is done here.
Yep.
That's what happened. It's ridiculous. Like, that's how bad he was.
Mm.
That the team's not only willing to cut him, but just be like, peace out. Like, we're done.
Deuces.
We're done. You're done. We're done. It's all good. It's over. Seriously, like,
Yeah.
the answer isn't Daniel Jones. It's not the answer.
Jeez, we have just shut on the Colts for about half an hour.
I just don't think they're a good football team. I really don't.
I'll be very surprised if Richardson is starting. week
Yeah,
one.
as I said, by week 3, I think we'll know.
Yep.
But what you said, Scotty, tight ends in the first round.
Yeah,
Get
for
one of
sure.
the top tight ends.
I
Give him the
think
security
you have
blanket
to
go
get
from there.
Warren over Loveland just because Warren's the playmaker, the vertical threat as well.
And
He's-
also, Warren is a dog.
He's a dog.
He will
Yeah.
block the
Mhm.
shit out of dudes.
And I think he.
and it suits that scheme, play
Exactly.
action, hard blocker.
100%.
It's like a George Kittle sort of comp, that sort of guy.
Yeah, exactly. But
His
a better
stats might-
playmaker.
His stats might not be amazing, but what he does for your team
Yep.
makes a huge difference.
Yep.
So, all right.
Yep.
I think that's it. Anything else on the Colts?
No, I think we've just shut on him for.
The Colts always bring up they're always.
So I like the Colts. I like them. I think that.
I like him too.
Yeah,
I think
we
they're
don't
good
need to
enough.
keep flogging a dead horse with
No.
Richardson, but
I'm excited. One thing I'm excited to see, Latu got a bit injury ridden last year, ruined his first year in the NFL. Well, not ruined it, but struggled to have the impact. I think he's super talented
I had him
guy.
for my D boy, my rookie D
You
boy
did, yeah.
last year.
I don't. It said he just got hurt, which
Yeah.
hurt him. When
He's
he
very
played, he
good.
was outstanding. So I think
He's
that'll
very
be
good.
really good. All right, that is it for us this week. George, do you want to do the run out, or you want me to take back over now?
No, you can take back
No,
over.
no.
He hasn't
Shout
got
out.
it on his notes.
That's all our what's the play. He hasn't got a script written.
Yeah,
Should I get one of those script things so you can like
Teleprompter?
read it while looking
I
at
think
the
that's
camera?
definitely the next.
who
next
put a
one.
question mark on the end of the teleprompter?
You know you can put a question.
Damn it.
I thank you, San Diego.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Shout out to Brocky on the 1s and 2s.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for all your hard work. You didn't hear as much tonight, but he was that TV was flicking.
Putting in work.
I'm
It
exhausted.
was flicking harder than him and his date on the other night.
It's
Ooh.
almost like we forgot we were on a podcast and we've just been talking shit. This is what it's like for
Isn't that
us.
the best podcast?
We're going to find out about his date.
Yeah, we'll find out after. We'll report back next week for all the
Yeah, we
people
will.
interested.
What date?
But we're going to draft.
Don't play coy. Don't play coy now, big boy. All right, now's not the time to be coy.
Wrap it up, Jay. Let's go.
Draft is next Friday, so it's Anzac Day in Australia. So you get a day off. Tune into it. It's really fun. It's
Yeah, it's a bit of
enjoyable.
fun, yeah.
You see some kids cry on stage. It's pretty. It's nice. It's nice to see some guys go.
Man,
It's exciting for your
huge,
team.
very
It is. It's
exciting.
exciting, and
It's really exciting.
it's the
Life
first time
changing for the kids too.
every team have some genuine excitement. Without you don't need any payback on the moment. You're then waiting 3 months, 4 months for the payback to start.
Unless you're that guy that when the Bills drafted Allen and you're slamming the Bills.
They
Unless
should
you're
have
that
taken
guy.
Rosen.
Yeah.
Why didn't they take Rosen?
That's right. That's
I
age
think
like,
that guy's pretty happy.
that's
right
age
now.
like milk that fucking tape.
I would say he's happily wrong right now.
course
That
he
dude.
is.
Yep.
Shout out to the boys. Thank you for being here. Draft stuff next week. If you have any questions on the draft, we're not big draft guys. Well, Scotty is. Scotty's a huge draft guy. But
I fucking love the
Fucking
draft.
nerd.
loves the draft. So shoot us some questions on the draft. What you think your team should do? Where you think they should do it? And we'll do our
Yeah, we'll
best
go
to answer
through.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
We're not sure exactly what the format's going to be for the draft stuff, but we'll get into that next
We'll
week.
keep it more controlled than what we kept the Colts, that's for sure.
100%. But peace out, everyone. Thanks for coming in.
Ciao.
I thought
Peace out, everyone.
Peace out.
Thank you.
I hope the Eagles lose on a call.